Hello and welcome to the Vita box, where I sit around for a few hours and talk to a couple of morons. Actually, no, that's pretty bad, isn't it?
I was a little hurt, you know? A little.
Alright. Do you want me to try that again?
It's okay, it's the first time. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, okay. So, anyway, I'm BlueMaxima. I do the Vita weekly update every 168 hours or so. I'm joined here today by Brent. Oh god, I can't remember your name now.
That's alright. BMart008 is my, handle on PSN and on Reddit. But my name's Brennan, and I run PlayStation PS1Classics.com.
And I'm also joined by IceBreak.
IceBreak from Reddit and Breaking Bad on the PlayStation Network. I run sort of with Blue, the subreddit that most of the people listening, maybe a good 50% at least of the people listening here are listening here for. So,
yeah, I just want to point out that he does all the work. I'm just the one that stands around, looks pretty, and sounds Australian.
Very, very Australian.
So, all right, let's get this show on the road. What are you guys doing right now? Like, what games are you playing on your Vitas?
I'll go with Ice first.
All right. The last game that I played on my Vita was Sound Shapes, which is something you probably, if you own the game, you're probably going to be playing for quite a long time. There's so much replayability in that game. But the last game I've actually played is The Walking Dead, like just a few hours ago, and I still got that burned in my head. And that's a fucked up game right there for those who have it on whatever platform they want to play it on. But
you're playing episode 3?
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but that's all I can say.
I played the first episode. Sorry.
I know they just came out with an iOS version of it too, which is maybe they should come out with a Vita one. But yeah, Sound Shapes, go get it if you don't have it. 2 platinums, endless replayability.
I recommend that game too. So, you know, if you've got the 2 head moderators of r/Vita telling you to go pick up a game, go pick up a game, goddammit.
Seriously.
Anyway.
Playing through that game was a lot of fun. Of course, I think I get more even enjoyment from the user-created levels. Like, they're getting really good now. I remember earlier this week, the heads of Sound Shapes, they said they hit the 10,000 levels built mark, and some of the games or some of the levels out there are better than the ones in the campaign. But the campaign's great, fun. I love that game.
There's only 10,000 levels?
Yeah, well,
really?
like, there's quite a few, and like the Beck levels from the original are great and stuff, but what they did that was so smart about Sound Shapes is they put no multiplayer trophies, no play this many levels, no create this many levels, nothing like that. So you don't have a single level where somebody's just trying to get a trophy. Every single level in the user levels were created by people who want you to play their levels, and it's just it's amazing. Some of the, like, if you go to the subreddit, Sound Shapes is the subreddit, the levels there are just great, and that's just made by regular people. It's something else.
Yeah,
it's sorry, Brennan.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it gives me the feelings that I had when I first played Little Big Planet on my PlayStation 3, and yeah, some of the levels in that were downright incredible with what the guys at Media Molecule put into that creation engine. It was just insane.
It'll be exciting to see the PS Vita version of Little Big Planet come out, because with the touch controls, I think it'll make it a lot easier to make levels. That was the biggest barrier for me, at least, making levels on the PS3 version. So
yeah, I don't know if I'd be that gifted to go in there and be able to do stuff, but at least you can actually just draw with your fingers. You can draw little objects and stuff instead of having to use the controller. So it definitely will make for some interesting levels that we haven't seen before. But Sound Shapes, though, I just want to be clear. Sound Shapes, play Sound Shapes. If you haven't played Sound Shapes, play Sound Shapes. Anyway, go on.
The one thing that excites me about Little Big Planet Vita is the Saveinator, which lets you save data in between plays of a level. That's brilliant. I mean, like, some people would think about doing high scores with that, sure, like individual levels in like one big level, or you could make like a 20-hour RPG in that thing and have the Saveinator and all that. It sounds nuts.
Yeah, because that was like the thing about the game on the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 with Little Big Planet 2 was you could make these really, really long games, level-to-level games, but eventually somebody's going to stop playing, and now you could just go on endlessly because you could just save your state, go back to it. You can download the levels from the internet to an offline Vita after you've got it, downloaded and play them later. So many things in that game that just...
Imagine an indie game developer going on Little Big Planet and spending time to actually update their games with new levels and all that, like long into the Vita's lifespan, or hell, even using it as like a prototype for their own game, using the in-game engine. That would be nuts.
Oh, they'll be doing it for sure.
Well, go ahead.
I think there'll be people will be doing that for sure. I mean, it's a great way to get some actual feedback on level design. If you're interested in making games, what's the best way to you test everything? So
yeah, just if you're doing that on PC, I would suggest GameMaker, because I've used GameMaker for a number of years. It's a really good development platform. It's actually been used to prototype some Nintendo DS games, from what I've heard. But yeah, just imagine being able to make your game in Little Big Planet and then say, I want to be a game designer.
Yeah,
that'd be
the only problem is you put all these hours in and you're not seeing a dime of that. I'm like, I think some people might find that disheartening, but you can still get your name out there if you make something creative enough and it gets enough play. Some of those levels, man, some talented people. I know for the Vita version, they actually brought in some of the level creators from Little Big Planet and Little Big Planet 2 to actually work on the game because they were making such creative levels. So
yeah, I heard that.
There is a future in it.
Yeah, just I will admit there is a reward factor in having your name out there, because as a bit of a self-advertisement example, whenever I see that my own videos have racked up like 1,000 views and 30 likes and 20 comments, you have no idea what that's like. It's really strange to know that people have actually watched this.
Yeah, I remember.
It's just
when I got having good articles being viewed on my website, same feeling. I had one great article, it got 100,000 views, and it's like, wow. Couldn't believe it,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And I swear to God, as soon as this podcast is done, I'm going to put up a thread on r/Vita that says, hey everybody, we should thank IceBreak for all he's done for this subreddit, and let him have that feeling as much as possible too.
I don't know about all that. I enjoy, like, the reason it's like so crazy looking is it's fun to find out what you can and can't do with the CSS stylings and shit. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. Considering we've gone... Oh, sorry, were you going to say something, Brennan?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to move along unless you had something else to say.
No, it's all good.
All right. Fair enough. What games are you guys looking forward to on the Vita? I'll go last. Brennan, you first.
I gotta say, probably everybody who has a Vita right now is probably interested in getting Persona 4, the Golden. I played Persona 3 Portable, like, I think 80 hours, and I'm not even a big RPG fan, really. And I loved every minute of it, so that is definitely a day one buy. But yeah, that's my number one, I think, right now.
It definitely seems like the people on the subreddit are really looking forward to that game. But that's a game where I had never heard of a Persona game before I actually got into the Vita and started hearing people talk about it. And I gave Part 3 a try, and it didn't really click with me. So, but the golden edition of the gold edition or whatever they call it, selling out quick, looks it's really tempting. Even though I don't really want to get the game, it's really tempting to get that. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's sold out already.
At most places, I think there's a couple GameStops. Like I don't know exactly how it works, but I was reading that some GameStops still had it. So
yeah, because the accessories they put in it were made by Hori, who make really good actually make pretty good accessories for any console. So yeah, that shit's really good.
I think like a sealed one of those is gonna be worth a lot of money in 10 years. If assuming Persona keeps doing what it's doing. It seems to be like just
Atlas
amazing for sales. But
Atlas always does amazing things for their physical copies, like the PSP version of Persona 3 that came with like free soundtrack, free books, and everything like that. Everything they do comes out with great extras. They're the best in the industry, I think, for that. And most of it's free. Most of it is actually, they don't charge extra. It's just as supplies last, because they want people to pre-order the game. But,
yeah, I guess that's what you could call a real pre-order incentive. What was that, IceBreak?
I said they definitely did it with this one. Selling out in 2 days, was it? For most of the places.
That was
especially on Amazon.
And Persona 4 was the biggest. It's the biggest game in Japan on the Vita.
It doubled sales of the Vita alone, didn't it?
Yeah, in 1 week. Yeah.
What game am I looking forward to? Because, I mean, I'm going to buy, like, pretty much every game that comes out between now and December, so...
There's a lot of them, for sure.
Yeah, there really is. That's why I've been saving money all year. But, Zero Escape, Virtue's Last Reward, 999 on the DS was an absolute masterpiece, and I cannot wait to see the sequel, because that is going to be absolutely nuts.
I've heard only a little bit about that. It's being launched on the 3DS as well, right? That game.
Yeah.
It's like a dual. That's cool too. I'd like to see more of that. Because there's some games. It's probably gonna upset people on the Reddit, but some games on the 3DS that I think could do really well on the Vita, like the Resident Evil game, for instance, that was released on the 3DS. Yeah, like they could port that over if they can port this one.
Well, Monster Hunter for sure. I mean, it's dumbfounding how they just ripped that away from Sony. They decided to go exclusive with Nintendo on that one. It just makes no. I mean, they want to sell systems for the 3DS. I guess it used to do so well on the PSP that it's dumbfounding.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's just they got a little bit of extra something from Nintendo.
Yeah,
to make it exclusive.
Definitely.
Like Rayman Legends for the Wii U.
Yeah, but I'm fairly certain that's just a timed exclusive.
Yeah,
Christmas.
They still pay for those timed exclusive though.
Oh yeah, Even though they always say Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, they always say we never pay for exclusives. We never pay for exclusives. They pay for exclusives.
They pay for exclusives.
Yeah.
They might not give them cash, but they'll advertise. They'll make you have to pay this to put out a patch. Nah, you're good. So there's ways to pay without actually paying.
Well, I know Microsoft. Sure. I know Microsoft pays Activision to get their map packs for Call of Duty first. They absolutely do.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the 360 DLC for Skyrim. Yeah, that's. Something's got to be happening there. Microsoft has to be fluffing Bethesda's pillow.
I kind of think that part of that is Bethesda just isn't very good at making games for the PS3. They're not very good at porting and taking the games that they made. They don't really translate well to the coding of the PlayStation 3, and that's probably why they might not even see was it Dawn Guard or whatever it's called on the PlayStation 3.
But they actually released Dawn Guard on 360 before PC.
Yeah, they
definitely paid for that. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, just although I can see where Bethesda is coming from, because having an engine that works in one way and then having to repurpose it to work on another console with a completely different architecture it would be very difficult. I can understand why they're having problems. It's just that the business side of things is, kind of giving me a question mark over my head, like the guards in Metal Gear Solid, because they choose to release a poorly done port instead of not releasing it at all. I mean, I know they would have had fans clamoring for it, but it's well, we can promise that you'll have a better experience on 360 instead of PS3, and we want to keep that promise, but no, they decided to go PS3 anyway.
Yeah, I agree. If you can't do it, it's unfortunate you're giving them an exclusive, and people don't like exclusives for some reason. But sometimes if you can't do it all the way, maybe you shouldn't do it at all. But I never played. Some people only own PlayStation 3s. They don't own 360s, so they didn't have the option to go that way. But there's a lot of people who probably picked up a PlayStation 3 version who could have picked up a Xbox 360 version and just didn't know to. And those are the people I really feel for. Cause
just those poor people that just rolled the dice.
Yeah. What about you, Ice? Which game are you looking forward to the most for the Vita?
Maybe Assassin's Creed, but I mean, all the trailers we've seen for Assassin's Creed, they look good, but they haven't really shown any story, and that kind of makes me nervous. True. But I have high hopes for it. So
maybe they're saving it. Maybe they don't want to leak their story out this early. Just I mean, like if we haven't seen anything, it's not a definite bad.
There's gonna be a story. It's gonna have its own story, and maybe it's kind of spoiled because in case people don't want to hear this, you might want to mute for 10 seconds. They said that Desmond, that's it. Assassin's Creed 3, Desmond's done. So that might have an impact on where they go with the spinoff of the Vita version. So, I mean, time will tell, but that's the one I have the most optimism for, even though I think, Little Big Planet is going to be the be-all and end-all for this year. It's probably going to be the #1 game on Metacritic for a couple years, probably. So
who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
Just maybe in Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, maybe the assassin in the Vita one won't be hooked up to an Animus. Maybe it'll just be a side story and they never go back to the present. Maybe it'll just be in the past the whole time. That would be
nice. I would like that. I think the whole Animus thing is,
getting a little tired.
That was really weird. For people who've played all the games like I have, sometimes you just got to take that on faith. It's just, man, some of those things that happen, you just sit there and say, what just happened? Why did I do that?
Yeah, hopefully I would actually love a story like that. Just like no need to track down all these memories and all that. You stay in the past the whole time, and you can do whatever the damn well you please. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Also, Need for Speed Most Wanted. If that game turns out to be a 1-to-1 port of the PS3 version, we can go to pretty much every developer and say, "Look what they've done. Surely you can do this."
It won't be though, because they've already said the multiplayer is only going to be 4 players. But besides that, it could be
1-to-1 port.
But
I heard it's going to be the same frame rate right now.
Yeah, the frame rate, like the graphics and stuff, but certain things aren't going to be able to be done, at least in the multiplayer, which for a lot of people, that's a big part of the game. I'm not really a fan of racing games, but I know some people who just swear by them, especially Need for Speed. So...
Well, I'll be getting that one only because it's made by Criterion, the guys who did Burnout. That's
Burnout Paradise 2 in anything but name.
Yeah,
seriously,
pretty much. Yeah. No.
All right. Let's PlayStation 1 Classics came out earlier. Some people have asked the question: why do people like these old polygonal games so much? Nostalgia. And that's actually a fairly good question. Yeah, how about other than nostalgia? Because that's the response everybody says.
I don't know if there's another reason for a lot of people. I think that's probably, if you hadn't played all these games as a kid, you would probably gravitate towards the 2D type games. The 3D early polygon is kind of like the awkward teen years of video games. So I don't know if a lot of that really translates well if you don't have that in the back of your head where, man, I used to play this all the time. It goes a long way, I think.
It really does. It's just that, I know it wasn't a 3D game, but I bought Dracula X Chronicles on PSP knowing that there was an unlockable version of Symphony of the Night in there.
Yeah.
It was like the only PlayStation 1 game you could play on Vita at the time, and I unlocked it because Dracula X Chronicles is actually a really good game as well. Go check that out if you want a challenge. And I played Symphony of the Night, and it was brilliant.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
It's an amazing game.
But that just goes with what I was saying before, is like those 2D games like Rayman hold up really, really well. But, once you start going, if you go to Medieval with, what's his name? He was just announced for Sir Daniel.
Sir Daniel.
Yeah. Not so good, I mean, somebody who'd never played that game, maybe played it a couple times back in the day. Not so good. Not so good.
There are a few 3D action games I think that actually worked really well for new gamers. Soul Reaver, in my opinion, a great action 3D, even like platformer. It's sort of like a mix between like Metroidvania and Tomb Raider, sort of mixed together, but you're playing a vampire who eats souls. It's sort of an interesting concept, and it plays really well. Controls great. I'd tell everybody to try that one.
Soul Reaver. Okay, I'll have to go and look it up.
That's amazing. And the first game in the series, Blood Omen, is almost a Diablo clone, too. And you play them both through. And Amy Hennig, who wrote the Uncharted series, she wrote that Soul Reaver series. So the writing is great, and the actors are all professional actors, so they have great voiceover, and the story is the best part, but the gameplay is actually great.
Not it's not Apocalypse level, is it?
Apocalypse
on PlayStation 1. That game was fun. It was by the same guys who made Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but it had Bruce Willis doing the worst possible one-liners in the history of gaming.
No, this is kind of a big dialogue on the sort of on the same level of dialogue as Metal Gear Solid, but not big. Sort of, you're not spending like 15 minutes waiting, like watching a movie. So it's sort of it kind of weaves right in. It's good. You should check it out, I think.
Yeah, I'll definitely look it up. And I have to admit, it's funny because Siphon Filter, I'll have to say, was one of the best 3D games on the system, probably because it looked like one of the best 3D games as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody knows Sony Bend's history, because before they were named Sony Bend, they were named, I can't remember if they were 989 Studios or they were Eidetic, one or the other.
I think it's 989.
Yeah, but before they made the Siphon Filter series in general, because they've had it this whole time, they made a game called Bubsy 3D on the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Just look up John Tron on YouTube. Look up his episode on the Bubsy series. And he played Bubsy 3D for 5 minutes. It's the funniest thing I've seen in ages. But anyway, shall we move along?
Sure.
All right. Okay, so how can Sony justify only having 9 at launch? Or was it 35 now?
Yeah, well, it was 9 on Tuesday, 25 more on Thursday.
Yeah, so that's 34.
Well, was it 26 more? Because I think they got 35.
26 more, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, what would Sony's reasoning be for this? Because this just sounds absolutely ridiculous, considering Japan had over 250 and Europe had over 100-something.
Well,
I think U.S. copyright law would probably be the biggest hindrance to them. They have to get everything signed and dotted, and that's kind of different overseas. They don't have to go through as much to maybe get those games out to the public. That would be
even with US IPs like Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, see, there you go. I don't know. I mean,
I have to actually disagree with you there, Ice, because I think the licenses, how they work. It's for PlayStation Network as like a digital platform. So I don't think it'll change if they have to send the license to a new device. So if that were true, then like game developers or Apple, the App Store, would have to renegotiate with developers on the iStore if they're making an iPhone 5. So I think, and if you look at the other, and they were also, if it was the copyright issue, then how could they just magically sign 26 different copyright laws in 2 days?
But right? You could pretty much say, whatever the reason is, you could pretty much say, how could they just have 26 2 days later? So, yeah. I mean, it could be, they wanted to do QA on them and get everything working properly, or, maybe they just wanted to sell them a little bit at a time. But really, whatever they did, nothing really fits with putting out 26 more 2 days later. So, it's all speculation.
It wasn't even on a weekly update of their PS Store, which was the real head scratcher, wasn't it?
It was surprising.
Well,
it just came out of nowhere.
Well, if you look at an interview I did on a little while ago with the head of Monkey Paw Games, when I asked him what new things he had to do to get games up and running on the Vita, he said nothing. Like, we didn't have to do any extra coding. I didn't ask him specifically about the licensing issue, but he said no. He was surprised, actually, that some of his games were going to be on the Vita. That was back around E3, when they announced the original 9 games that were released were coming.
That's the thing. They didn't even announce the 9 originals back then because they had Crash Bandicoot on that list, and it never came out for Vita at when it first launched, and didn't come out with the 25 extras.
Yeah, and you still can't transfer it in America. You still can't.
Yeah.
Surprising.
Although I imagine with Monkey Paw, all they did was take like the ROM files of the games, like the images that Monkey Paw set up. I imagine Monkey Paw didn't need to do anything. They just needed to do some stuff to the game itself, and then just hand it off to Sony for the emulation wrapper and all that.
Yeah, to originally launch it on PSN.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wouldn't make sense for them to have to recode every game for the Vita. It'd make a lot more sense for them just to use an emulator that could run the same ROMs, right? Like, imagine the work you could save doing that. So.
Yeah, I can't imagine them having to do every single game over again.
Yeah, whatever we say, whatever we feel like is the real answer, we're just speculating. We don't know. It's all just taking a shot in the dark. Who knows what they're thinking? Maybe they were just lazy. Maybe they're oh shit, we got to release this shit today. Go get 9 games for us to put on the list. Maybe that's what happened. Who knows?
Yeah, it would have been nice if Sony was a little bit more transparent about it, though. Just saying.
Yeah, in the post, if you read the official blog post, where I think it was Don Mesa who had, like, this is what we're putting out today, these are the 9 games, and, the official PlayStation blog, they usually give good replies every once in a while, and not a single reply. He didn't reply to 13 pages when I looked, and that was, like, the day of, and not a single reply. It was just ugly. Yeah. But they finally came out and said something a couple days later for the official blog, so.
Well.
All right, well... Oh, sorry, were you going to say something, Brennan?
No. This is the only official word I've actually heard was from Suhei Yoshida. If you check him out, it's YOSP on Twitter, and he's sort of like the games president of PlayStation right now. And when he was asked,
Worldwide Studios.
Yeah. So that's right. And when he was asked, like, why are there only 9, and he said, different regions have different plans, and that's it. So I don't even think he knew. But Yeah,
it's a bit weird when even the CIO of Worldwide Game Operations can't even tell you what's going on.
Oh, well, at least we've got the 35 now, and I'm sure there'll be more coming next week. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the good news is, if you got a PlayStation 3, which, in the days of PlayStation Plus is really a tremendous value. If you have a PlayStation 3 to work with, you can transfer at least 100 games, even in North America. So it's not a total loss. It's kind of sucks for people who just have a Vita, who can only do like 35 games now. But if you got a PlayStation,
I remember you saying earlier that we didn't record this. We talked for like an hour before this call went up, and we're not all total dimwits. But I remember you saying earlier that most of the people who own a Vita would be hardcore Sony fans, and they'd probably have a PlayStation 3 already. So
most people, but yeah, a vocal minority. But you know what? 35 games, you're not going to finish those in a week, and hopefully there'll be more coming up next week. So
yeah,
like did they release any RPGs? I think they released like Wild Arms and Final Fantasy VII and all that. You're not I don't think you can finish those 2 games in a week alone.
Yeah, tons.
Fantasy VII was a big one.
Yeah. Grandia as well.
SimCity 2000. Oh. I'm so tempted to pick that one up just because I want to build a city on my Vita. It just sounds so ridiculous to me every time I go and hit that purchase button, though. So
watch out. Actually, if you look at PSN, I think SimCity 2000 is the lowest rated by users PS1 Classic on the system. So it might be something to stick away from. Maybe it just doesn't control well or something. I don't know.
I can only see one PS1 Classic that matches up to it, and that's Populous the Beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that might be one to avoid. I don't know.
There's a lot of real useless games on PS1 Classic. There's like a dodgeball game, Access Major League Dodgeball. You can buy it on the PSP and the PS3. Like,
yeah, they have a lot of useless games like that.
I'm not a big bass fishing fan. There's a lot of fishing games, but you know, oh well.
Somebody does.
Okay,
Somebody
well,
loves it.
whatever they can do to bring out new games is,
Great.
can't complain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move along. Vita doomed, true or false? Let's try and dispel this question once and for all, shall we?
False.
False.
I mean, maybe,
Come on,
you
I
know,
thought you were really...
I mean, there's a few things it's got going for. Sales is not one of them. Sales is probably the biggest thing saying the Vita is not going to make it. But, you know, there's a lot of things. You got PlayStation Plus that's coming where people are going to start getting PlayStation Vita games just by having a PlayStation Plus account and a PlayStation 3. So eventually somebody's going to be like, I got all these PlayStation Vita games. I might as well go get a PlayStation Vita. But, you know,
Cross-buy helps
that's still a ways off. Cross-buy for sure. I mean,
yeah.
Cross-buy, you have we only got 3 games right now, but if they start putting some real titles, like say when Grand Theft Auto 5 comes out, they give you like some Grand Theft Auto game at the same time, you know, that's going to move 10 million Vitas probably. Who knows?
Yeah, there's plenty of like
5
PSN
million.
games that people might buy that are coming out on Vita as well. They might work on crossplay, like Retro City Rampage and Ratchet and Clank and Knit Underground and Big Sky Infinity. That game's gonna be. I'm gonna have a seizure every time I play that game, and I'm gonna like it.
I haven't seen that game actually. I have to check it out.
Yeah, it's the sequel to a PC game called Really Big Sky. It is brilliant. It's like a really visual shoot 'em up with a lot of unique mechanics behind it and a lot of unique game modes and such. I heard you orgasm behind your mic when I said Retro City Rampage, though.
Yeah.
So
it's like your childhood wrapped up in like a beautiful little box. Like imagine having Grand Theft Auto on like NES, you know, like 15, 20 years ago, and then like having the Ninja Turtles show up and being able to drive around in the Ninja Turtles box, and then like staying on the top and having like metal Mega Man mechanics dropped in, and apparently everything works. Like it all plays really well. I'm really excited for that one.
For sure.
Yeah, just if I open up the Retro City Rampage Twitter feed, they showed off a new car called the APE.
Yeah.
That's an ape. It's a drivable monkey on all fours. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Sure.
Yeah, that game is going to be filled to the brim with collectibles and unlockables and what have you, and it is going to be great.
It's like a nostalgia bomb.
If only they would bloody release it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is actually going to hold true, because I don't know how long it's going to take me to edit this podcast together, but if this comes out quick enough, you can go down to PAX, go to the PlayStation booth, and I don't even know why I'm saying this because it probably isn't going to come out in time, but you'll be able to play Retro City Rampage on Vita at PAX at the PlayStation booth. So, yeah.
And Guacamelee.
Guacamelee, too, yes.
Yep.
Same guys who did Mutant Blob Attacks. Yeah,
Yep.
Great game, too. One of the best, I think,
the best
probably
on the system right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, they released that on PC.
Well, you know, everything can't be exclusive.
Yeah, I know, it's just the fact that was one of the best games at launch for the damn thing, and then they release it like that on another platform, and then the guys who made Hot Shots Golf decided to put that on PlayStation 3 as well, even though that one I really can't complain about.
That's just Japan, though, for so far, at least.
I don't know, I just pray we get some more good exclusives. Like, I pray to God Soul Sacrifice doesn't end up on the PlayStation 3 at one point.
Nah, I don't see that happening.
But, I mean, I don't think Gravity Rush is going to, you know, the real games that are great for the system, I think they're, like, Sound Shapes, right? It's on PS3 and Vita, but I've played it on both. I don't like it on the PS3. Like, the only thing that...
It makes a...
The only benefit, I think, is, like, having a big sound system. But like the actual controls, way better on the Vita, and especially the controls for creating.
I can definitely imagine that, yeah.
Creating for sure. Although I would say, like, if you're trying to go for the platinum in that game, it might be wise to switch over to the PlayStation 3 for death mode, because that's what I did, and it worked a lot better. Levels.
I gave up on the death courses because they were next to impossible.
You just gotta stick with it.
I spent a while actually getting that platinum on the Vita, but like I'm a big fan of stuff like Super Meat Boy. Like they should bring that to the Vita. That'd be great. But that's like you don't want to break your Vita, but that's certainly a way to do it.
I almost did because Event Horizon 1. I swear to God, I have this bug which no one else gets, which actually physically lags my Vita as soon as I go up into the lasers and all that, and before I know it, the screen's just flashed and I'm dead because I hit one of the lasers while the screen was frozen.
Maybe.
But yeah, that game is frustrating as hell.
Yeah. What about you, Blue? What do you think? Is the Vita doomed?
Hell no.
No?
Like, I can make a list of like 40 games that are still coming out for the Vita. It's not doomed yet. No way in hell.
Yep. I'd say same here. Of course it's false, yeah.
What we haven't even mentioned is you got the PlayStation 4, which all signs point to it's coming out next year. Probably going to have a lot of interaction with the Vita. Like, you're probably going to be able to cross-chat with it. That seems like a given, and, you know, you'll finally be able to see friends lists, you know, oh, they're on the Vita right now, which, you know, the PlayStation 3 firmware doesn't really let you do at this point. So I think there's a lot of the Vita has a lot of things going for it down the road that it doesn't necessarily have, like, today.
Yeah, so. I can understand the challenges of making the Vita stuff work with the PlayStation 3 because the PS3 architecture might not be built to support a new portable in the same way, but yeah, I can see PlayStation 4 really giving the Vita a kick in the pants.
For sure.
Yeah. I think they just gotta get those great games coming out this holiday and market the crap out of it.
Just get if anybody's listening who will have the money to go out and buy a crap load of Vita games this holiday, please, for the love of God, go do it. That every dollar spent will count. I promise you this.
Well, like, the thing is, the games coming out are great, and that's the reason. That's the only reason to go out and get them, because they have great games. Like,
quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, sure, you can watch Netflix on it, and you can watch YouTube and Nico. I mean, like, watching a YouTube video on this is really good. Even my another bit of shameless self-advertising here. I watch my own videos on this screen sometimes, and they look really damn good.
I think that the YouTube app on the Vita is way better than, like, I have than an iPhone. I find it works so much better. The problem is they just have to connect to the browser.
I feel the same way, but like a lot of people for some reason aren't too happy with it because I think you can't subscribe to videos and stuff like that. But like if you're just going in to actually type in, you know, the ending to Infamous, I want to go watch the ending to Infamous again. To just do that is just so easy and so beautiful to do, and the screen is just perfect in the interface for that. You know, yeah, you can't subscribe and you can't go to like channels and stuff like that or something like that, but as somebody who never does that personally, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, the simple things like that, it is absolutely brilliant.
You can still sign into your own account, which is decent, and then you can see your subscriptions. But no, it's great. They just got to connect it to the browser. Just connect it to the browser, just please. Next firmware, just fix that in the browser. It'll be perfect.
Yeah, firmware 1.81, single change. You can now click a link in the browser and have it take you straight to the YouTube app.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
Yeah, and the whole world rejoiced.
It seems like it would be really simple to implement. It doesn't seem like it would be something that takes a lot of effort. So, although you would think the same thing about browsers or about folders for the home screens that we didn't get. So, who knows? Maybe the things that seem so simple are actually much harder than we think.
Mm.
All right, well, let's have a moment of silence for Zipper Interactive, Big Studios, and Studio Liverpool, shall we?
Yeah. Sad to see those studios go.
Yeah, it's just, I hope to God it's not the start of one of those, you know, legendary curses. Because Zipper Interactive's last game was on the Vita, and it was Unit 13. Big's last game was on the Vita, and it was Little Deviants. And Studio Liverpool's last game was Wipeout 2048. So
that's kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, it's a little bit nuts.
Especially when you consider Sony doesn't really close studios that much. I think they've only closed one in like 5 years or something like that. before that. So.
Well, I heard that a lot of people from Studio Liverpool were being pushed into the. I thought they were being brought into the now the new Guerrilla Games in England, but I might be incorrect. Or maybe
I heard
maybe
something like that. Like it's not the developer is gone, but a lot of the people who were with the developer have moved on to another developer within Sony.
Yeah,
I heard something like that.
You would hope so. Like they said they had to well, I don't remember the exact wording, but it was to shut down to reduce costs. But I do hope that they migrated everyone somewhere else. Just, I can't imagine so many people losing their jobs like that.
Yeah.
What I heard, not to plug another podcast, but on Beyond, the IGN PlayStation podcast, they said that a lot of this is coming down because Sony might be potentially going after Quantic Dream to bring them into the fold as, an official exclusive Sony brand developer. So that could be where things are going right now. So.
Well, I can't imagine that happening because Quantic Dream is pretty much exclusive already.
Yeah, but they're exclusive because they're exclusive. They're not exclusive because they need to be. They just have a great. That's kind of like the step before you get brought in.
They're sort of like a second party studio almost.
Yeah.
Like how the Resistance developer was.
Yep.
The original Insomniac games.
Yeah.
They're sort of a second party, but now they're making games for 360 as well. So.
Yeah, they're just we'll never know how it's going to turn out. I wonder what happened. Like, would Sony let David Crane or whatever the bloody hell his name was continue making games the way he does at that studio? Like take 4 years or something like that, and just take it at his own pace, or would they ask him to try and speed things up a little bit?
Hey man,
the rumor is they're working on 2 games right now, not just Beyond Two Souls, but I think they're working on at least one other game, from what all the rumors were indicating. So who knows? But I mean, Sony, they kind of have the reputation of letting people, they work with you before they bring you in, but then once they bring you in, they kind of let you do your thing. Just look at The Last Guardian,
Yeah.
And that doesn't tell you they'll let you work forever.
Gran Turismo 5, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Troll Bay. The Last Guardian is never coming out. Suck it.
Too bad. Looks like a great game, but but what I understand, I was listening to the panel at Gamescom, and they had a lot of young developers who are working with Sony, and they said the reason why Sony has such an interesting sort of relationship with developers is they said that the management actually came from Sony Music. So instead of them being sort of just bean pushers, they actually came from already an artistic sort of industry. So, like in Sony Music, you don't say, you have to have this album done by November 20th or you're losing our contract. Usually they say, okay, just go do your thing. We're going to support you when we need to. And then that's how you get your stuff done. And I remember it was a member of the staff doing that game Puppeteer through Studio Japan. And it's really interesting, actually. It kind of makes sense because they do let developers spend a lot of time on their games and really make it something interesting instead of just pushing out games over and over again, something like Activision, for instance, would do. So
I mean, just look at PlayStation All Stars. They had a firm, I think it was October 23rd, but the game wasn't ready, so they pushed it. Could you see Call of Duty, 11/11/11 or whatever, getting pushed back if they couldn't make that time and make it perfect? They would just throw it out there. So it is what it is.
No, that just reminds me of a funny story. Sorry, 11/11 is my mother's birthday, and Skyrim came out on 11/11/11, and I said to her, "Sorry, Skyrim."
Sorry, Mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna make you dinner, but unfortunately.
Yeah, completely off topic. Sorry, but anyway.
Oh well, hopefully all those people from those developers will get jobs in the industry.
Yeah, and it's good to see that the people who are actually managing this sort of thing seem to understand the creative process.
Yeah.
I just hope they don't let David Crane get more lax.
No, well, he does. He certainly is doing something new and different, and I think that could only be a benefit for everyone. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, David Cage, you mean, right? I think that's his name.
Yeah, David Cage. Sorry, not David Crane.
Yeah.
I feel like an idiot now.
But I mean, Heavy Rain is one of my all-time favorite games. Like, words can't. You never played anything like it if you haven't played it. Like, I've been loving the Walking Dead, which is kind of like Heavy Rain a little bit, but nothing's like Heavy Rain. You can't. And it's just amazing. I just can't wait to see what they're gonna do with the next generation of Beyond Two Souls, with what they're gonna do with the new engine, and it's just amazing.
I think in Heavy Rain, I think I probably had like the most heart pumping, ever experience playing that game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but some of the things you do, like, am I really about to do this? Oh man, such a great game, such a great game.
Have you played it with PlayStation Move?
No, I haven't.
I didn't play it with the PlayStation Move. I played it like highest difficulty level.
Yep.
But,
well, I don't know if I did that. I think I did. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't want to say I did something I didn't. So.
It's amazing how you can play a game like that on a high difficulty level. It just doesn't seem to work, but apparently it does.
Yeah, well, they said that. I remember first reading reviews saying that if you're not playing it on a real difficulty level and you're a gamer, you might find it a little bit too easy. But like trying to get your hands away from being handcuffed or cuffed to a table and some guy coming at you with a drill. Jeez, God, I've never been so freaked out in the game before. But yeah, it's great. Try it out if you haven't tried it.
It really is.
It sounds better than most survival horror games that come out today, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I've been more freaked out and scared in that game than any other game I've ever played. Like, hands down.
It definitely grips you. It definitely, you definitely feel for everything that's happening. It's unlike anything before it. Just amazing.
It's an example of great storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the gameplay, it's not gameplay. You don't play that game for great for great gameplay experiences. You play it for the story. And the fact that if somebody dies, they're dead for the rest of the game. So. And,
it reminds me of Fahrenheit, which was also made by David Cage. That was a brilliant story, but except for the bit at the very end where it all fell apart. But yeah, that was let's just hope that David Cage gets the freedom to do what he likes, and let's just hope that all those developers went to their respectively good studios. Eh?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. And hopefully some of them went to nihilistic and not make Call of Duty look 1% better before it comes out.
God, yeah. Oh, God.
I hope that game is good. I hope, because I feel bad, because I was kind of jumping on the bandwagon immediately of screw them, well, not screw them, but no hopes for that Call of Duty game after seeing it, because you could kind of tell immediately who developed it just by watching the trailer. But
yeah,
man, you feel bad when you hear these developers closing. You don't, even though they didn't make a good game in Burning Skies, you don't want to see them go out like that. They probably have a good game in them, they just haven't had the opportunity to make it yet.
Nihilistic has made some great games. It's true, but it seems like they've had to make those games real quick. I mean, they probably had to finish that Burning Skies game as quickly as possible to try and get on Call of Duty. So
I imagine when I first played Resistance Burning Skies, and I was I was doing a reader review for Kotaku. I really need to get my own blog where I can start doing reviews for things, but when I was just analyzing the game point, I was thinking to myself, if they moved off the Resistance license, they could make a good game with another brand, because I'm pretty sure everything that I had wrong with Resistance with Resistance Burning Skies, I should say, was with the game itself, and not Nihilistic's development strategies, because the controls on the game were great. They were awesome, like real FPS controls. And imagine if they were able to merge that with Call of Duty and actually bring all the good things about Call of Duty onto the Vita, even with the subpar graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Vita's kind of spoiled me of late with, you got Gravity Rush, you got Uncharted, where you use the gyro for the precision part of the aiming, and it just works so well. I don't know if I could really get into a first-person shooter where that isn't at least a possibility to, go through, because, man, it is so efficient. You could just pick people off like nothing when you're using that combined with aiming with the stick. It's just amazing.
Yeah, that was great in Uncharted, but it has nothing to do with the Vita itself, but whenever I imagine like something with that sort of gyro aiming along with the analog stick, I imagine like a guy in Counter-Strike, like counter-terrorist, just running out and moving his head up and down as he moves his gun up and down. Because that's what I get at that. Because imagine turning your Vita aiming with gyro aiming, and you're in first person, and just imagine like your character, your main guy, doing that at the same time, like in game. It creates the most comical image I think I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with like the small changes because the analog sticks are great on the Vita, but not perfect. Obviously, that's why that's great. But yeah, having a full game where it's only gyro for aiming, God, that would be like playing on the bus. You'd look like a doofus. But
yeah, I can see that, and like you have the option like Uncharted, and I think in Gravity Rush, I'm not sure for sure, you can turn those off. So it's not like you have to use them, but it's just
in Gravity Rush you can turn it all the way off.
Yeah, or use the analog stick. Yeah.
Such an awesome option to have.
Sorry, what was that, IceBreak?
No, I'm just saying it's such an awesome option to have, is the gyro aiming. That's why I played the demo of Burning Skies. I'm not a big first-person guy to begin with, but I figured I'd give it a shot because I never really gave any time into a Resistance game. And I just couldn't get into it after, playing Uncharted. The aiming is just, I like being able to tilt just a little bit just to pick those headshots off instead of having to do it with the thumbstick.
That is really useful, actually, especially in Uncharted where the torsos can be real bullet sponges, and then you get one in the head and they go straight down.
Yep.
Yeah. Take note, developers. Put gyro aiming options in your shooter games. It works brilliantly.
Yes.
So
amen to that.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move along again. I really should stop saying that. There are plenty of good games over in Japan that could make their mark either in the US, Europe, or Australia. Why aren't we seeing so many of them?
I think it's strange. Yeah, obviously. I was part of the group of people who wanted to get Valkyria Chronicles 3 sent to Western markets because they released. Well, Valkyria Chronicles is a strategy RPG for PS3. They released the second one on PSP in Japan and in the West, and they didn't send the third one here, which is kind of strange because actually it sold more in the West than it did in Japan. But I mean, these games sometimes they just don't want to send them. They just want to keep all the cool games in Japan. It's strange.
Yeah, I remember the same argument being used for I don't remember the exact name of it, but it was that Wii thing that people were doing to get the last story, Xenoblade, I think it was, and Pandora's Tower. I think they used the same reasoning to try and get those three over, and they eventually did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they managed. Yeah, I remember. Last story just came out last week, I think.
Yeah, and I heard it was crap.
I heard it was pretty good. I heard it was pretty good. That's for at least what the reviews I saw.
Well, admittedly, I should read more than the Destructoid review before I say something about it. Yeah. I hate that guy. He was the only person who gave Gravity Rush a bad review. There were bad points in Gravity Rush, but damn, that game was not worth a 5. It was worth much more than that.
I think I'm not sure. Fucking love that game. It's just so fun. Like at first, like you play the demo, okay, it's a little wonky. It doesn't really click. But like you get halfway through the game, you start leveling up those skills. You start bouncing off enemies. It's just so entertaining. It's like the perfect game for the Vita.
Yeah, the demo was awful. I mean, what they wanted to try and show off was like the fact that you could roam around this big city and there were these giant things to beat, and there was actually more to the combat than just trying to kick something that's like 2 feet in the air and you've got legs that's shorter than toothpicks.
Yep.
It's but they didn't do that. I hope a few people didn't get turned off Gravity Rush because of that demo, because that demo was awful.
I think that game actually really polarized a lot of people. You see people just on one side just loving it. I absolutely adored that game. But then you had some people who, decided to give it like a 5 or a 6, which is kind of lower on the scale. But, I guess to each their own. Everybody's got their own opinion.
Yeah, I played that game for like 20 hours or something. That I had fun with it, more than my share.
Yeah, very excited for a second one. They've got to come out with a second one.
Yeah,
there's got to be a second. Yeah, because we never found out what. Spoiler alert. Okay.
Well,
we never found out
give
what
people
happened.
a few seconds, and tell them how long it's going to be.
All right, fine. About 10 seconds then. Yeah, we never found out what happened to the kids or what happened to the city or the big tree in the middle or anything like that. So, yeah, there's got to be a sequel. They just set it up way too deliberately for a sequel.
Yeah, well,
the sequel not to come out, I should say.
Yeah, they
we'll find out
definitely
next
have one
time.
on the way, you would think, if it sold decently, at least.
Yeah, and then the funny thing about the games in Japan that are not coming over here, they had an English Hatsune Miku demo at what was it, E3?
Yeah.
Or Gamescom or whatever.
And they said it's not coming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, why? Like, why would you tease people like this?
Yeah. What kind of makes me nervous about the whole Japanese thing is, like, they haven't said word one about Phantasy Star Online 2 coming into the American Vita. So it's, something that's coming to the PC in America, and it's coming to the PC in Japan and to the Vita in Japan. Might have to import it, and that kind of makes me a little nervous. I don't want to do that if I don't.
I can't imagine importing working.
It's a free game, so you'd have to, I guess, make an account in Japan and find a way to pay for it.
Yeah, but you'd have to keep switching and all that and formatting and all that, and
But for me, man, that's worth it for Phantasy Star Online. It's one of my favorite, like the first online game I really got into besides NFL 2K. That was one that just gripped me in from the Dreamcast to the Xbox. Love that game. So Phantasy Star Online 2, because PS Universe just didn't work. Just didn't click with me. But Phantasy Star Online 2 is looking great.
Yeah,
hopefully we'll see it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I have to admit, I had never really got into any online games. I think before I got into Guild Wars 2, which is really my first real MMO, I played like 20 levels of WoW and then just gave up. But yeah, I enjoyed Phantasy Star Portable 2 on the PSP. I kind of wonder how good Online 2 is.
Ugh. I never played that.
Why isn't that on the American store? I can't imagine why.
Yeah, it was on the store and then they removed it. And they had the first store on the store as well. They removed that as well. I have no idea why. Oh
man, I wish I got in there sooner.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
And there are other games too, like there's a Gundam game. I'm pretty sure that'd be popular, and Earth Defense Forces 3. That would be brilliant. A 4-player huge co-op game with giant cities, lots of weapons, and lots of bugs to kill. I cannot imagine that game not selling more Vitas in America, because you could just pick up this bug-killing game and play with 3 of your friends.
I thought that was coming to America, but I might be wrong.
I haven't heard anything about an American release. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope to God that shows up over here.
Hopefully.
I really do.
Well.
We talked about this earlier, but I'm just going to repeat it because I have this list of questions here for anyone who's watching at home, not having a clue how I run this thing, and I'm just running through them one by one because I apparently have the memory of a chipmunk. But cross-buy with many PSN and retail titles is making owning a Vita easier on the wallet, and the new bundles with games like Little Big Planet and Madden NFL and Assassin's Creed and Little Big... did I just say Little Big Planet twice?
Maybe.
God, I'm awful.
The Call of Duty, there's going to be a Call of Duty 1 or 2, I think.
Yeah, that's probably... Yeah, but will these actually increase sales, or will they just do nothing?
Well, if you saw when they announced it, like on, I think it was Our Games on the subreddit, it was actually like the top post for the day. So there's people who don't own a Vita who that actually resonated with, which was a little surprising because I didn't know that many people cared about Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper and whatnot. But it's pretty interesting if they can get, like, they got the smaller PSN titles like Sound Shapes and stuff where they've already been doing that. But like they start doing that with big titles, I don't know. They're not doing it with Assassin's Creed, but if they had done that with Assassin's Creed, and given you a whole new Assassin's Creed game to play for everybody who bought Assassin's Creed 3, just imagine how many systems that would move.
Yeah, damn, that would move so many. Imagine if they did it with Most Wanted.
I heard that they were in negotiations with EA for that.
Because
if it's the same game, I can understand it because they just have to port it. But if it's a whole new game, a whole new everything, I think it's a lot more expensive to do. Like, it's essentially just pushing the whole...
I would agree with that. I just, like, imagine if you took your game home, like Assassin's Creed 3 on launch day, opened it up, and then there was a coupon inside, Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation for 50% off the price of regular retail at any one of these distributors. Imagine if they did that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be as much of a system mover as, say, cross-buy with AC3 Liberation by itself, but yeah, that would move a few extra systems if you ask me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I think PlayStation is sort of in a good position for that, of course, with having the Vita, but I mean, look at other games where, like, if you bought Darksiders 2, you'd get Darksiders 1 free on the disc because they had enough room. Or
that's interesting.
But getting games where you can play it on either system just because it takes a couple months to port, it's great. It's like going out and buying a Blu-ray and, you know, buying Harry Potter on Blu-ray and then getting a free digital copy that you can watch on your iPod or whatever. And
I remember in Japan, some games would come out with 2 UMDs in them, and you wouldn't know they were there until you open up the case, and like you'd see a second UMD for your PSP, which would actually be a whole nother game. Like, okay, don't call me a nerd for knowing this, but it was a Kamen Rider game called Great Battle Full Blast or something like that, and it came with like this free dodgeball game that was a real cult classic back in the SNES days.
Oh wow!
And you'd get a whole free new game that'd take it just a couple of months to develop. I mean, like, sure, I'd love something like that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's not like many American developers or publishers would want to take a risk on that, would they?
Hey, look, giving up the old free game is good. I think they're doing it with BioShock Infinite as well. If you buy it on the PS3, you get the original BioShock for free on the disc. And I think that was the same with Dead Space 2. You get they updated the Wii version that they made of Dead Space, like the sort of like the light gun shooter. And that is, if you bought it Dead Space 2 on the PS3, I think you got a free copy as well. So I mean,
Extraction.
They definitely doing this. I mean, they should have been doing it with the PSP. I mean, buy a PSP game, get the free digital copy to download, right?
Yeah, that would be.
Why not?
That'd be good. And I mean, like, it would be a good way to induce co-op. Excuse me, I'm having a little bit of a spaz here. It would be a good way to introduce co-op with people. Just give your friend the digital copy instead and say, here, let's play co-op together.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really where they want to go with that. I don't know if they really want to say, here's 2 free games. And that's kind of the risk that you take when you, even with this cross-buy thing, say somebody goes and buys Sly Cooper, they got Sly Cooper, hey, I don't need this, let me go put it on eBay. Somebody's got a free Sly Cooper for the Vita just for, I don't know, $2, $10, whatever they sell the code for.
I'm thinking the code is, it's true. They're probably going to be charging a little bit more than that, but, you know.
Well, I can imagine there being, like, a unique serial, like, padded into every, like PS Vita game. So it's like you can put it in and then say, register my copy on PlayStation Network, and then that unique serial will just be scratched off or something like inside the game cart so that you can't use that game again to activate the game on a PlayStation Network account.
Yeah, sort of how Portal 2 did that on the PS3 and Steam.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you have to connect your PSN ID to your Steam account. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, just something like that I imagine would work
But
really
what
good.
you could do with the Portal 2 is you could still give your PlayStation disc to somebody else and they could play it, and you could play the Steam one linked to your account. So there's always a way.
Actually, I heard you couldn't do that. I heard you could only play one at once.
No, because the disc is just a disc. They couldn't really put a code in on every disc saying this is for that code, and you know, because once they write these discs in bulk, they don't write separate discs for each one, so it wouldn't really work out that well. But I mean, they're doing it, and it's great, and I hope too many people don't, you know, take too much advantage of it. But you know, they're giving you the codes. It's your code. You do what you want with it. So
it'll get people to buy more Vitas, and that's just good for Sony, I think.
I think so.
Good
too.
for more games on the device too.
And I mean, when you think about it, like you pay full price for two copies of the game anyway. So it's like Sony's gotten all the money they're going to get out of that. So
that's the best way to think about it. Yeah, because I read somebody was complaining, I'm paying $30 for one game and $30 for another game. No, you're paying what you were going to pay regardless, and you just happen to get a little more than what you were getting. But it's not like you were going to buy both games anyway. How many people were actually going to buy 2 Sly Coopers? Maybe people were going to buy 2 PlayStation All-Stars because of all the online into it, but definitely not Ratchet and Clank. So games like that, you get what you were going to get as a developer, and then you give a little more incentive to go out and buy a Vita on top of it.
And it doesn't matter if people are selling their codes anyway when you think about it, because they've gotten all the money they're going to get from that one sale. So it's like, even if they didn't sell off their code, so it makes me wonder what people are worrying about.
Thing too, I bet you all those codes are going to be digital. So you're not going to be as soon as you update it, you're not going to be able to sell it again. There's no extra money lost. But I mean, like now because of this cross buy, I wasn't going to buy PlayStation All Stars on my PS3, but now I will. So they're getting an extra $20.
You have to. How could you? How many people are actually going to be buying these games for the Vita at this point when you're only getting the Vita version? You got to get it for the PlayStation 3.
Even if you have a
maybe
PS3.
if you don't even own one yet, because down the road you pay a little more, but you're still getting the Vita version on top of it. So you would think you would have to get the PlayStation 3 version now.
Well, I can't get the PS3 version because, as some of you may know, I live in Australia, but I use a US region account for all my Vita stuff, so I can't register.
Yeah, isn't it like a huge crime for you to import games out there?
It's not a huge crime unless the game is unable to be sold.
Like
here,
like
you could do Sly Cooper, but if you did Manhunt or maybe even Heavy Rain, the unedited European version.
Yeah, it'd get stopped at the border if if the people actually knew what they were talking about. But the thing is, it happens all the time here. Like I got Mortal Kombat off the PlayStation Network. That's why I got it. I got it from there just fine. And then I went and showed it to my cousin, and he says to me, "Oh, a mate of mine was playing that, and I was at his house playing it with him yesterday." And I'm like, "Shit, really? You got to pass the border?" And he said, "Yeah, I know like 5 people that own that game on PS3." And I'm like, "What? How did they do this?"
Underground video
game. They'll find a way. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but in China, video game consoles are banned there. Like the Nintendo DS only got out there like 1 or 2 years ago as the IQ, but you can still go down to like any corner shop and pick up any video game console you like.
Yeah, I mean, you could. When I was living in Russia, they were barely selling things, but people just, games were just ripped off like crazy there. So the game prices actually drop for the legitimate games. So you can go.
Yeah, because they have piracy is legal in Russia, from what I know. I actually have a Russian contact on Steam who buys me games every now and again.
Yeah,
because they're really cheap over there.
I bought The Witcher 2, like day 1 release for like $10 in Steam. On Steam in Russia, just because they drop the price, because they know if it's too expensive, people will rip it off. So
that's
great.
Nuts, isn't it?
It's great.
If you're a gamer, move to Russia, learn the language, and drink lots of cheap vodka.
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, God, this is ridiculous. Wow. All right.
What's next
question then? Yep. Will PlayStation I really should rephrase this. Let's just talk about PlayStation Mobile for a while then. My opinion is that it's a form of distribution like the Minis. I don't know what's going to happen to the PlayStation Minis.
Yeah.
I remember Sony saying something about them still existing, but it's like, who would go for that over
they're still putting them out.
PlayStation
Plus just got Ronnie O'Sullivan's... PlayStation Plus just got Ronnie O'Sullivan's Snooker, or something like that, some sort of pool game.
Snooker.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I don't know. Do you know anyone who has ever bought a mini on the store? I don't, and I think the same is going to be true. They're outrageously expensive.
I
know. It's just
the ones that are more expensive than iOS. I will not touch with a 10-foot pole. But there's some that are the same price. I think Cannibalt, because I'd heard a lot about it. It was like $3. $3.
And that's $3 on iOS?
Yep.
I'm kind of surprised. Most iOS games don't seem like they're that expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Velocity is fantastic.
I've heard
yeah,
a lot
for
about
sure.
that one, yeah. And Where Is My Heart
Yeah.
is supposedly really great, but that's like $7. So I could buy that, or I could buy like Grandia at like an 80-hour RPG as a PS1
You could buy
classic.
Crash Bandicoot.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't really get the value in that particular sense, but they're new games too, so
Yeah, and that does raise the question of how much games are going to cost on PlayStation Mobile.
Yeah. Well, I mean, more games the better, right? I mean, if it works out, if they're
it's not a bad thing. I just don't think it's going to be much of anything. I don't think people are going to say, "Hey, look, I want to get that Vita because of all the great apps that the App Store games that I have on my phone, so I can play them on my Vita." I don't think a lot of people are going to be thinking about that when they buy one. I think the best thing about PlayStation Mobile is going to be the things that you can do besides the games. The like we saw the desktop app that sort of works pretty good. If Sony is nice enough and they release, let people actually put things like that on the PlayStation Mobile, it'll be pretty good. But I kind of think that Sony's going to be a little strict, a little too strict with some of the things they're going to allow.
Yeah, they have rules. I remember reading when I got into the beta for that, or I downloaded the beta. They said if you're going to release an app on PlayStation Mobile, it can't be free. You have to pay for it. So
yeah,
like those are
99 cents I think is the lowest.
Yeah, but
because they don't have ads. They don't have ad support, so you can make money from that. So that's why Apple doesn't do that. I think I could be wrong, but I think there was a time when App Store apps had to cost money, but then they introduced ads, and I could be wrong. But either way, the reason you have free apps is because Apple still makes money on those from the ads, and Sony's not going to have those at least early on.
Yeah. Well, imagine Montezuma Blitz. Well, Montezuma Blitz was free, right? But you pay per game.
Yeah.
It's kind of
it's free to play.
Favorite,
they won't have free to play PlayStation Mobile stuff, I guess. So
yeah,
I guess that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, just I remember being Treasures of Montezuma. I keep mixing up Tales and Treasures. I don't know why I keep doing that, but I remember Tales of Montezuma. Ignore me when I say that. I imagine Treasures of Montezuma Blitz being an absolute nightmare to play when it first came out.
I think I played it for 5 minutes and then I was right off the disc. But I hadn't played it since then, just because I played it. I was like, oh, okay, I have to pay $1 to play it again. Nah.
It's a lot better now. It recharges your lives like a lot faster. So instead of like 5 games, you can get like 10 in or 12.
Okay.
And then it only takes like 45 seconds to recharge a life. So you can be back playing again in less than 5 minutes if you want to be. I mean, I can understand them still keeping those in, but actually reducing the amount of time it takes to play more games to a respectable level is actually really good for that game.
Okay.
So it's a lot more fun to play now. I can actually recommend it, considering it's not just a complete waste of space anymore.
I'll have to check it out again.
Yeah, I don't know. Free to play never really clicks with me, but that's the way everything's going. So.
Yeah, I mean. Why hasn't Call of Duty got like a separate multiplayer component for like $20 yet? But then it makes you realize, they want to keep making as much money off that thing as possible.
Call of Duty will always sell.
That name is worth way too much to just cancel. I bet if that cancelled, Activision would flop. They have put so much money into that one franchise alone that if that game flops, it would be an absolute disaster.
Weren't they in trouble before Call of Duty started clicking the way it was clicking? I think they were pretty close to going bottom up at one point.
Activision, then they, their $1 billion cow every year, and then they joined with Blizzard, right?
Yeah.
The other $1 billion cow, World of Warcraft.
Yeah, then Diablo 3 came out. I'm not going to bother remembering that. That was horrible. But, just PlayStation Mobile, though, it just makes me wonder how much games are actually going to cost on that. Like, are they going to charge, like, $15 for the really good ones, or what?
Imagine, having Plants vs. Zombies for $15 on the PlayStation Network store, it's just, for the Vita, it's just a joke. God, sorry.
Yep. It's a bit nuts.
Yeah. You can get it for free on Google Chrome. So why would I ever pay $15 for something I can do on any browser?
What's the Dungeon Defenders Alliance or something like that, where It's like $30,
yeah.
but it's like nothing on the iOS.
It was at
Dungeon Hunters.
Yeah, it was $10 on PS3, and it was like you could actually get it for a deal. I think for one time for like $3 on iOS. They still charge $35 for it. Gameloft games, God, they shouldn't have even that and Asphalt or something. Asphalt, yeah. That as well was really cheap on iOS, but they charge us stupid hardcore gamers for them.
Yeah, it's just I wish they would have released them as like $15 titles. It would have been so much better.
Yeah.
Like just to mention that being like, imagine the Asphalt and Dungeon Hunter being $15 PSN games. They would have sold a lot better and got a lot better reviews because of that.
Yeah,
they really would have.
For sure.
Yeah, just yeah. It just makes me wonder. What are your opinion on PS Minis after PlayStation Mobile comes out? It just makes me wonder, like, will they add, like, PlayStation Mobile certification to the PlayStation 3?
Well, no, I've not seen anything where they're talking about PlayStation Mobile on PlayStation 3 or PSP, and Minis are PSP and PlayStation 3 games first, before the Vita. Like, the Vita is like the afterthought for those, so I don't think that either one is going to have any effect on the other one, really.
I think minis are going to fall out of favor with developers with PlayStation Mobile coming, because now they have, you can get it on HTC phones, and then there's other PlayStation devices. I think Asus tablets are now being put on for that as well. So I mean, it's just a much bigger market. So
I'm still confused about the market for minis to begin with. Like, every single mini I own is from PlayStation Plus, which is like 40 of them practically. And, like, there's a couple that I love, like Pix and Love Rush. That game is just amazing, but most of them are pretty crappy. And then you look at the prices for some of them, and it's like, people actually pay this much for a mini that does this. It's just incredible. I don't believe it. I mean, you guys say you buy a few of them. I'm dumbfounded that anybody pays that much for most of those games. It's just ludicrous.
Yeah, well, admittedly, I never played much of the minis I did buy. So
there you go.
Yeah. It's a bit of a shame. I mean, like, you can see talent in some of them, sure, but it's like you got completely screwed over with both your pricing model and what you can do with your games. It's a shame, really.
Yep.
Well, hopefully, PlayStation Mobile will make that a little bit better. Games will be cheaper, but hopefully some of the developers who are doing minis, there are some decent minis. Like I said, like Where's My Heart was pretty well reviewed and actually reviewed all over the net. But yeah, hopefully they'll go
there's definitely some good ones for sure. There's like Pix and Love Rush. I probably played that more than I played, some of my PlayStation 3 games that I have platinums in. That's how addicted I got to that game at one point. But there's very few and far between, and there's no demos for them. You can't try them out, and like only half of them are compatible with the PlayStation 3. Or with the Vita. They keep coming out and adding them with compatibility. So I don't think minis are doing too much business for Sony to begin with. So I don't really think they're concerned either way with them.
Yeah. And the other thing with PlayStation Mobile is the fact that you won't be able to take the full advantage of the Vita. It'll just be a
Yep.
It'll just be a small sandbox that you're restricted into.
96 megabytes of RAM, I think, out of the 512.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, like, 96 megabytes of RAM by comparison. In 2001, when Windows XP was coming out, the default RAM for computers was 128 meg.
There you go.
That's how ridiculous it is.
But in fairness to that, I mean, a PC has a whole bunch of different processes running, and the game can actually devote all that to the game itself. So it's a little different, but yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that they're limiting people who want to develop things, because like the phones that you're developing for don't have the controls that the Vita does, so they let you develop those controls, but they don't let you have more memory to work with. They still limit your memory regardless. So I don't.
Yeah, just there's no like PlayStation Vita mode that they can flip a switch on to do, which is a bit nuts.
But at least
really.
They let you use the thumbsticks and the D-pad and the buttons, which
and the touchpad.
It's better than nothing, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, well, it's like they could do more.
Yep. Maybe they will.
Maybe
this is just how they start it, and maybe they'll be like, okay, well, these are selling a lot better on the Vita. Maybe we should give more leeway to the Vita. Time will tell.
Yeah. You hope they just open up all the floodgates for the Vita to do well, but they're still holding back. It's a little bit of a shame. And speaking of something else that you can do with the Vita, cross-controller.
Yeah.
Is it just as big as a gimmick with Wii U and its tablet controller, or will there actually be a good set of games available for the technology?
I think it's going to be same as PlayStation Move. I mean, there will be some games that will have it, and some games maybe it'll be great on, like Little Big Planet 2, which you can get free with Plus right now. But, I mean, developers have to support it, and developers have to think, okay, is there a decent enough audience for people who have a PS Vita and people who have a PS3? You know, that's the thing with the Wii U. Everybody who has a Wii U is going to have the tablet. So games like Rayman Legends will have that asynchronous multiplayer. But I can't really see many developers getting excited about it for something with, as of now, a small install base like the Vita. So
yeah, just for crossplay, you do need like the software on the Vita, the software on the PlayStation 3, and both consoles.
Yeah,
which is a very thin audience to begin with.
Yep. Although it kind of looks good what they're doing with Guacamelee and what they're doing with Little Big Planet, but that's all they've got announced so far. And I don't think it. I mean, calling it PlayStation Move is kind of being generous. I don't think it's even going to have that much play in the community. I think it's going to be much more limited. But I don't have high hopes for the Wii U, so. If I'm not excited for the Wii U, this feature isn't really going to do much for me when it's not even near what the Wii U is going to be able to do. Even though the PlayStation Vita has multi-touch, which the Wii U does not.
Yeah. Well, it'd be great if they just put it in all the cross-buy titles.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Then boom, you've already got a bunch, because Guacamelee is one of those cross-buy titles. But yeah, I mean, I can't see third-party developers really doing that right now. So.
Yeah, it's just weird because like they're advertising crossplay, like buy this game and get the same game on your Vita, but there's this whole other system where you can combine the two to make a game out of the both of them, but you're not taking advantage of that. It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah. Well, they got to get the developers to program it in. But I mean, some games coming out for the Wii U supposedly won't be using the tablet at all. That's one of the big reasons. I think Michael Pachter said it. The reason why they're coming out with a traditional controller for the Wii U, one without the tablet, that looks essentially almost exactly like a Xbox 360 controller.
They have a lot to announce still for the Wii U. Like they haven't said what's going to be in the box yet. Like, is that controller, that actual video game controller, going to be in there with everything? Yeah. But I mean, they said, the thing's coming out, November 18th, I think they said. So they get a lot to do.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows yet for the Wii U.
Well, I think it's been leaked. Is they're going for right before Black Friday and stuff. So.
It'd be a good idea for sure. But yes, it's only a few months away, and we still don't know. But
it's crazy. I mean, can you imagine like the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox are ready to launch in 3 months, and nobody knows anything about them other than what we know about the Wii U? It would be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nuts. I mean, the way the industry is today is that we don't have much secrecy anymore because projects get leaked months before they really get announced and all that. It's a bit ridiculous. I mean, like, I guess that's why E3 has lost most of its charm lately because, like, before you would go into E3 and you'd have no idea what was happening, and these days you go into E3 and it's like, oh, I knew about that, I knew about that, I knew about that, I knew about that too.
Well, I think you get a piece of the puzzle. It used to be the whole puzzle you get at E3, but now there's TGS and PAX and Gamescom, and so you get different things everywhere. They kind of spread things out.
Yep.
So it isn't the one place where people go to for their news anymore. I mean, the media still treats it that way. Like at the mainstream media, at least in North America, they're paying attention to E3. So when the Wii U is announced, it's on the front of a newspaper somewhere. If they announced it at Gamescom, nobody in the main media would care. But cool, like it's totally different for the Vita. Like all the great games that everybody's excited for were announced at Gamescom. So
it's a good Gamescom.
Yeah, great Gamescom.
The one thing about the Wii U though that I can't get anybody else to see this. It's a giant DS. They don't know what they're planning to do, in my opinion, Nintendo. So they're just copying what was arguably the most popular console ever by making it a giant TV-based DS.
Hey, man, never bet against Nintendo. Never.
Well, unless it's the N64 or the GameCube. People forget the utter failures, even though, we all love Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time. People completely forget how poor those systems did in sales. Those were, Nintendo was done before the Wii, and then they come out with the Wii.
They still made money. They still made money.
That's because they never sell the system for a loss. Even, I think the 3DS is the first one they've ever sold for a loss, and that was after nobody was buying it at $250 a piece, which, hint, Sony, maybe you could follow suit and get a few more sales out of it.
Well, they are working on doing price cuts for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they've got to be.
You would hope so. I mean, it always seems to be that magic marker, which is anywhere between 6 to 18 months is where you want to start giving your games and stuff a price cut.
I think when Nintendo cut the price on the 3DS, they were at 5 million sold and 6 months in. And Sony is at 2 million, 2.1 million sold, and they're 6 months in. So, kind of need that price cut sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and they need big games like Nintendo had at this point too. I mean,
Nintendo didn't really have. I mean, they had Mario 3D Land at around Christmas, I think.
And they had Mario Kart 7.
Yeah, those were the two. But besides those two, I mean, Sony's gonna have? They got Madden, which it's a shame the Madden wasn't great. If they had put the effort in and put out a great Madden, that could have been really big for the Vita, I think. But, you got the Assassin's Creed, the Call of Duty. Even though a lot of us think it doesn't look that great, the Call of Duty is going to sell better than any game on the system to date. It's going to move systems like crazy. The Call of Duty is going to be huge. So they got
it's just the name alone.
They're going to be big.
Well, that's the thing. They need original content. I like Madden 13 on the Vita. If it's just as good as the console version, great. But the problem is that version is $250 more expensive than the one you can get on your PS3 or Xbox 360 right now. So you need something new, like having a new Assassin's Creed or a new Call of Duty. I think those are the things that will sell, or a new Killzone or Tearaway by Media Molecule.
I think the biggest game they could get is Grand Theft Auto, hands down. I mean, they get a fresh new Grand Theft Auto and launch it near Grand Theft Auto 5, systems will move off the shelves, especially around the time of the PlayStation 4 coming out. So it's not like the Vita's dead now. It's only 6 months. People are going crazy. People don't remember where the PlayStation 3 was. Who owned a PlayStation 3 before Metal Gear Solid came out, which was a year or two later? Nobody. Yeah. It heavily sold on it. $600, $700 system. I mean, people forget how doomed the PS3 was at one point, and now it's my favorite system of all time. It's crazy.
You think that's ridiculous? It cost $1,000 at launch here in Australia. Yeah. I'm looking through my local shops magazine a few years ago. I actually remember this clearly. Sorry to any homosexual people out there watching this. I remember turning to the games pages because that's what I used to do because I never really got on the internet to look for this stuff, and I saw PlayStation 3, $999. My exact words were, who the hell are they trying to fool?
Yeah, and
it was so expensive.
And Australian dollar is, was it $110 American, right? Or $110 Canadian. So,
oh, well, that's right now. I mean, it was a bit worse back then.
Yeah, that was back when the dollar was actually valuable. 2006.
But, in Australia, you pay crazy amounts for games. I can understand why you have a U.S. account for your Vita stuff.
Yeah. Can you blame me? I mean, I'll buy a game locally if I can get it really cheap, because I got, Virtua Tennis 4 for, $25 over here because there was no DLC for it. But if I know there's going to be a game coming out with DLC, or if I know there's going to be no DLC for a game, I'll buy it here. Otherwise, I just get it straight from the US, because you always have it cheaper.
Yeah.
I could pay, good example, Resistance Burning Skies. Got that from an Amazon pre-order. The day it came out. I had to wait a couple of days to get it, but other than that, it cost $49.99. No, it didn't cost $49.99. It cost $39.99, right?
I think so.
So that's $40. That's $40. If I had gone to my local EB Games, walked in and took the game off the shelf and bought it, then it would have cost me $68.
It was probably
Wow.
cheaper if you were getting it digitally. Were you getting it digitally or were you getting it imported?
I got it straight. I imported it because this was back when I had a 16 gig card. But yeah, it was so much cheaper to get it from the US, and it's like I don't even have to go out of my door. I just have to camp outside my front door for a couple of days.
Yeah.
It's like I don't see any point of paying $28 more for getting a game right then and there than just waiting a couple of days for it.
Yeah, or just...
And if I get it digitally, I get it on the day of release, and I don't even have to walk out my front door, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I'm an all-digital gamer so far. The only game that I actually have a physical copy for is, I think, Little Deviants that I got with the first bundle pack for the Vita, and I think I might have played it for about 5 minutes. Sorry to Big Studios, who unfortunately closed down, but I was not a fan of that particular game, so...
Yeah.
Well, if you want to...
It kind of looked like that game was sort of built to say, this is the Vita, this is what the Vita can do. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't something that, it was kind of like maybe a single-player Mario Party type game. It wasn't really,
Yeah, it reminds me of WarioWare Touched on the DS. That was the game you got to see what you could do with your new console and nothing else.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but yeah, if you, just while my mind's on it, Big was also a PSP developer, and I believe the big game that they made on the PSP was Pursuit Force, and that's on PlayStation Network, on the PlayStation Store, right now, so if you really want to go and remember who Big Studios actually were, go and buy Pursuit Force, because that game is actually a lot of fun. Like, have any of you ever played, I think it was Just Cause 2?
Yeah, great game.
All I know about that is it has the biggest city ever created in a game. I have it from PlayStation Plus, but I haven't actually started it up. But it's
amazing game.
All right, well,
take forever just to go across the map.
All right, well, the basic idea is that the game is mission-based. Pursuit Force is mission-based, and you would be able to just, drive at your enemy, and you have plenty of guns and all that to shoot them with, and you could jump out of your car and get into another car and start chasing them like that, and you could keep doing that, and it would be a bunch of missions just along those sort of lines. It's a little bit short, and it did have multiplayer, but, who plays multiplayer? But, yeah, it was an alright game, if you want something good. The only problem is it's like $24.99 or something on the PlayStation
Store. They really need to address those PSP prices on the store.
Yeah, it's a bit nuts. I mean, like, you can pay...
appetizing.
I remember paying... Hold on a second. I know a really ridiculous example that I'm going to look up on my Vita right now.
I think it's because if you buy Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker and transfer it from your PS3 for the PSP, it's $30. But if you buy the HD version for the PS3, it's $20.
Which is crazy because that has trophies. That's up-res.
Trophies, up-res, online, everything. Yeah, so they gotta change that.
And they didn't put it in the collection on the Vita. They give you the Metal Gear Solid collection on the Vita without that game, which sucks. I would have paid more so I could get trophies. You take away my trophies, I'm probably gonna get because I haven't played Peace Walker. I'm probably gonna get that on the PlayStation 3, which is a shame.
Well, it's a great game. I think I heard that the reason why they didn't put it on is because they had limits on the disc size or the card size, and they couldn't go over 4 gigs right now, and that they couldn't fit it on.
I think they could have done it if they wanted to do it. I think that's kind of an easy excuse.
The Vita games
include the version with trophies. They could have said, "Here's a code, so you can download this if you want to download this." They could have done it easily.
Yeah, just the Vita cards can fit up to 32 gigs of space. I remember the technical specs back around when the Vita was launching. They said they could do up to 32 gig. I can understand why they're keeping it small, but, if you just wanted to, on the card, you could do that. Just, put everything on the card, and then you could, have a game bundle of the same game, but only let you download the individual games you want.
That kind of bothers me, what they did with, because now they have Metal Gear 2 and Metal Gear 3 separate, which as somebody who bought the bundle, I like to be able to have, 2 separate icons, 2 separate, little bubbles for them.
Yeah, that really would be quite nice if they let you do that. I mean, you could even see evidence of that happening, because when you open up Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, on like the card or the digital download.
Yeah, it's just a menu.
It brings up this Vita thing that says preparing to start the application. It makes me think that they really just took the two games, shoved them on the same card, and then just ran them from this menu.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And that Vita example I was looking for, Lego Harry Potter Years 5 to 7, you can buy the PSP version of that for the exact same price as the Vita version, which is $20.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can buy Years 1 to 4 for $29.99 on the PSP. It's like, what?
It's all about
Why?
money, though. They make more money that way because they figure the people who are going to buy the game are going to buy the game regardless. Like, I bought Persona 3 for, I can't remember if it was $20 or $30, but I paid more than I should for such an old game just to try it because I was hearing all these good things about it, and I can see where people love that game. It's just not for me, but it's just too expensive for a PSP game. It's ridiculous.
Oh, and there's also the Loco Roco Patapon bundle where you can get them for like $20, but Loco Roco by itself costs like $22.99, and then there's Loco Roco 2, which is like a bigger game with more stuff in it.
For like $7.
For like $8. Yeah, $8. It's just nuts. It's like, what are they trying to pull? Are they really think morons are going to buy this stuff? But obviously they must. Otherwise they wouldn't try it in the first place.
I think the problem with that is publishers control those prices on PSN. Like, Sony doesn't. So, like, if you look at something like Steam, Steam actually controls the prices, so they can drop and do a huge sale, right? And they make more money off of that. Like, that's really what they need. If they had Steam sales on PSN like they do, like, because if you could get Metal Gear Solid for like $8 on your PS3, tons of people who weren't that interested in it would jump on it. You know.
I think they did some. I know they did something like that with all the Final Fantasies. They had them on sale, and I passed up on Chrono Trigger, I think, when it was on sale. So, you know, it's just going through PlayStation Plus that you get those deals. But you got to remember, they don't have the library that Steam has. Steam has every PC game in the world, where Sony just has, you know, PlayStation 3 games, and then PlayStation Vita games, and PlayStation P games. So
yeah, just the problem is if they tried to do it the way Steam does it, they'd be out of games to actually put on sale very quickly because they don't have that big of a library.
Yep.
Well, you know, but games on Steam, they get put on sale more than once. You know, how many times have you seen Left 4 Dead for sale? Or
well, that's a Valve game that can be.
In fairness, though,
just
I mean, if you live in Europe, though. If you live in Europe, say Just Cause 2, for example, that's a good pick. If you live in Europe or America, you could have that for free. Just for dropping $50, you get 36 games with PlayStation Plus for the PlayStation 3. So they don't have Steam sales per se, but they have games where it's practically cheaper because you're paying like $4.18 a month, and you're getting 3 games to play. Like next month, Borderlands for America. Double Dragon is a launch game for $10. America and Europe are getting for free. So and Red Dead Redemption, holy shit!
Europe,
Red Dead Redemption for free, which isn't even on the PC. One of the greatest games ever made. Europe's getting that, and hopefully America at some point. So you know that I think that's kind of their answer to the Steam games.
Knit Underground and Big Sky Infinity are going to be free to PlayStation Plus subscribers. Both PS3 and Vita.
When is that?
No release dates on either of them yet, but I'm praying early 2013.
So you're sure? So both regions are getting that for free?
I know Europe's getting it for free. Not sure about North America, but I pray to God they do release it for free in North America.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying that they don't have the same lists all the time, but. You know, for the longest time, America was getting the better end of PlayStation Plus, so it's kind of nice to see Europe, like especially in August, they got 5 games, which is just nuts. Like Dead Space 2, Just Cause 2, so many good games. So it's kind of nice to see everything sort of even out in the end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you pay $60 a month for PlayStation Plus.
No, you pay 50. Well, 50 in America.
50. Yeah, if you're in America, you pay like $50. That's not even a full retail game,
right?
And you get like 26 for a whole year. It's ridiculous. 36
plus because they gave 2 extra this month to Europe, so they got 5 games in August. So that's probably going to be like 40 or more. if you total that out to 12 months. So it's crazy.
It's really worth it, isn't it?
In comparison to Xbox Live Gold too, where you just pay for multiplayer. Yeah.
Don't get me started on Xbox Live. I beta tested Xbox Live, and I just can't look at the thing anymore.
Wow. Yeah, I am. The only game I want on the Xbox is Halo 4, and I'm not sure if I'm willing to put up Microsoft's bullshit just to play that one game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking shit about, like, they make good games. You got, like, Limbo was theirs for a year, and Braid, 2 games that I love a lot. And, you know, they put out great games, but, you know, you pay $60 a year, which is $10 more than PlayStation Plus if you don't get a sale on either side. And you're getting the access to the thing, like, you have to pay for Netflix. It's just ridiculous to me. It makes no sense.
Yeah, here you have to pay for Foxtel after you get Xbox Live Gold, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, same.
It really is. You know what the funny thing is? You can't do messaging on... You can't send out messages on Xbox Live without having Gold.
I think you can. I think you can. You can't do group chat, but I think you can send... Because I have a gamer tag that, you know, a lot of people... Because I beta tested, I was able to pick a fairly recognizable gamer tag that I'll just leave out because I don't need any more friend requests on that thing. But I get friend requests like nonstop. People like, you know, can I get your gamer tag and all this? So I'm pretty sure even if you're silver, which I am, you can still send and get messages. And I know you can do private chat.
No, I know you can get messages, but I remember the last time I tried to send a message on Xbox Live Gold, I couldn't do it because I was on silver and I needed Gold.
Maybe it's different in the European.
Maybe it was a voice. Were you trying to send a voice message or were you trying to send a text?
No, text message.
I don't. Maybe that's how it is. I guess. I mean, Xbox is great, and their online service is almost worth, like, if there were games online on Xbox, it's worth paying for because it's better than PlayStation. There's no question. What you get what you pay for on the online, but when you don't have an online game you want to play, it gets to the point where what am I paying for? Why am I putting this money for it? Where, you know, on the PlayStation, even if you don't have any of these games you want to play, you can keep downloading 3 new games a month, and it's just paying for itself for PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
I just wish more people would know about it.
Yeah. Oh, they gotta push it.
Yep, they do. Yeah. The instant game collection is brilliant. That's like the best marketing idea Sony's ever had, is selling that instant game collection idea. And I think, you know, once they start getting that out there more, that's really going to get people towards it.
Yeah, that really was a brilliant move from them. Absolutely brilliant. Can you hear my dog barking in the background of this?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I have no control over that. She's a bitch.
No.
But I'm sure people got a good laugh out of that, so it's more than worth it. Anyway, yeah, basically, Xbox Live, if it was $20, Xbox Live would be well worth it.
Well, like, there's opportunities where you can, like, get the cards for a year for $35 and stuff, but, you know, if you can't come across that and you have to pay $60, and it's paying $60 just to do things that you can do other places for free, it's just dumbfounding. You know? Yeah,
it's like, what's the point? I mean, like, that's why I like PlayStation so much, because they don't charge for online games. It's like, it's so weird. It reminds me of an MMO subscription now I think about it. And it reminds me how much
cheaper, though. I mean, an MMO subscription will still put you out more money. But yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I remember playing World of Warcraft and playing that for like 2 months and buying the card, and I'm thinking, why am I buying this when there are other games online I can play? And then I moved over to Guild Wars 2, where you like pay once and then you get the whole game forever. You don't get charged a subscription fee. And it's exactly the same thing on Xbox and PlayStation. Like, I bought this $60 game, and then I'm like, okay, now I have to pay another $60 to play this online. And
that's exactly right. Yeah. Like, what pushed me over the edge, and, like, you know, it was my point of no return pretty much for the 360 at least. I'll probably get back into it next gen. But I wanted to play some Red Dead Redemption, and so I wanted to hop online, and it just didn't occur to me that I couldn't play online because I've been playing a lot of PlayStation lately. So I get online, and I can't do anything. I can't play Gold, and I'm like, this is no longer the system for me. And then I ended up getting Red Dead Redemption for the PlayStation 3, and I'm like, I can hop on this shit anytime and just go hunt some fucking bears up in the fucking wintry areas in the forest, and that's just awesome. That's just brilliant. Just I can't believe you have to pay for that shit. But whatever. I mean, the service is great. So I don't want to sound like we're, the bashing the Xbox. The service is awesome that you get.
Yeah.
It's just, come on, give us something else. Charge us for something else. Let the online be free. Charge, not, and let Netflix, we pay for Netflix. We shouldn't have to pay you to pay for Netflix. But whatever.
And get rid of the ads.
Yeah.
I've said my piece.
Oh, and the ads too.
Oh.
I was on the Xbox dashboard. My account wasn't gold. I don't think it was. Actually, no, I think it was gold because I was trying to play Halo Reach with a couple of people online. But I'm just scrolling over the dashboard, and then by pure accident, my cursor moves over one of the advertisements, and I promptly fall backwards because the sound that comes out of my TV scares the shit out of me. Because the advertisements are played so goddamn loud, it's not even funny. I'm pretty sure I woke up my parents with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's those advertisements are horrible. Like, if you pay $60 a month for Xbox Live and then get plastered with those advertisements, it's like, what the hell are you paying for?
Yeah,
it's a good. I mean, they want to be like that's the future, though. That's how I don't want to say it, but I kind of think that's where Sony's going to be going, next gen, and I really hope that's not the case. But Microsoft is so successful at that I think the cross-media bar that we've all come to love is probably going to see the last of its days on the PlayStation 3. And I think those advertisements right in your face are the future, which is sad.
Yeah, I don't mind advertisements in places where it doesn't interrupt the game. Like, I don't get why people were so pissed off about Wipeout HD on the PlayStation 3 having advertisements on the loading screens, because it didn't interrupt your game at all. It just went straight to the game. But
I don't know about advertisements on loading screens. That's a bit much, if you ask me. I mean, it's one thing in the dashboard, although the entire dashboard on the Xbox is like one big advertisement, and you have to hit 5 buttons just to get your game collection. But advertisements on the loading screen, that's a little crazy. I don't know if I would be okay with that.
Well,
did you see Microsoft? Did you see Microsoft C3? That was like one giant advertisement, big flashy colors.
It was good for me because I love Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell is my shit right there. And that Splinter Cell is going to be the very first Splinter Cell I ever play on a PlayStation, so that's going to be interesting. I would have gotten the last one, but it was only on Xbox. So that was like the last big Xbox game I really got into. Man, that shit was so good. The co-op in that game was so great, even though a lot of people didn't like it because it's not like old school Splinter Cell, but it was just so fun.
Brennan, you got any opinions, or are you just sitting back and letting us talk about it?
Actually, I haven't spent very much time with Xbox 360, so I don't want to make an opinion, which I sound like an idiot, but I'm.
No, you're not going to sound like an idiot. Just if you want to say something or like ask questions, just go ahead.
Well,
if you think the whole thing's stupid, just say this thing is stupid, and then just you'll be done with it.
Let's be fair though. It's slightly more popular than the PlayStation for a reason. It appeals to more mainstream type people, whereas Sony's kind of like the like you see the game Puppeteer and Rain. Those two games that are coming out. That's kind of like the Sony side, where Microsoft is more the Halo and Gears of War. Let's fuck them up type side. So
yeah, but hey man,
then you got
take a look at the difference. Xbox 360 came out a year before. They're only 2 million units ahead.
Yeah, but the sad thing is they'll never catch them. Like they were on pace at one point to catch them, and Sony has this new system coming out where it might go low enough where they could, but it kind of looks like Microsoft is now leading in sales again, so they're kind of pulling away. But for people who said the PlayStation 3 was completely dead, and saying the same thing about the Vita. Just look at the PlayStation 3 and how it's like right there with the 360 after being called dead in the water early on. So
yeah, and actually, supposedly, the Xboxes that have broken down and been replaced, when they send you out a new replacement, it's counted as another sale. So there's a possibility
I don't know if that's true with some of them. I think there's a lot of people who had broke Xboxes who just bought a new one. But I don't know if that's officially true with people who sent in for a replacement. It might be, but if that's true, then, Sony's sold more. But I think Xbox has actually sold more, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, right now, at least on VG charts, they're about 2 million ahead. Yeah. Which is nothing, 68 and 66 million. you know. So
wow, I remember when it was like 30 and 33 or something like that. That's crazy.
yeah.
But that's just how close they've been this whole time.
Wii is at 96 million.
Yeah, nobody's catching the Wii. The Wii is the Wii is the 3DS. Like there's nothing that the Vita can do to catch the 3DS. It doesn't matter if the Vita dropped to $50 a piece and all their games were $25. The 3DS is the 3DS, and Nintendo is golden in Japan. But it can still be a great system like the PlayStation 3 in time. So just be patient.
Let me just say this though, in the what's selling more, PS3 or 360. Have you hopped onto a game of Call of Duty, and how many kids have you seen online? The more kids you see online, the more Xbox 360 is sold.
Well, I don't, like you say that because like everybody's like, oh, you faggot and all this shit. I don't really think that that's true as much. I just think the fact that 360 did something great, and that was include the microphone with their systems, and that made Xbox Live a much more communicative place to play.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah,
like you had a wired headset for a lot of people early on, at least. I don't know if they still do it, but that went a long way to making Xbox Live a more, you know, people talk a lot more on that system. Whereas like nobody talks. Like you have to send people messages. Can you communicate with me? You know, on the PlayStation to get people to talk half the time. So
yeah, it was just weird because I bought my Xbox 360 like a couple of years after they came out. I waited for that whole 60% failing out of the box after a year or two. I waited for all that to pass over, and I got one of the newer models, and I didn't get a headset with it. Then again, I only bought like the really low range model.
Yeah.
I had to buy this kit to get online.
I don't know.
Which was a
I know I got
a hard drive.
I got one for sure that was wired and it was pretty shitty, and then I somehow wound up with another one that I never bought. So I know they included them at one point, especially early on. So. That is what
okay, I'll take your word for it. I don't know much about the history of the 360. And what the hell are we doing talking about the history of the 360?
Is this the 360 podcast?
This is... hello and welcome to the Xbox 360 Weekly Update, where I take my own head and shove it up my ass. But, alright, let's move along before we get any more off topic. Well, this isn't on your, like, official scripts that I sent you to, because, I put this in my last weekly update. If you two saw it, what question would you ask if you were me, like leading the Vita box? The only one I got, which was actually a really good one, what PS2 game do you want to see ported to Vita?
Ported with trophies?
That's a very good question. Yeah, with trophies and everything.
Like
Grand Theft Auto 3. Oh, no, one of the Grand Theft Autos for sure. Not 3. Even though 3 is my favorite, maybe, go Scarface and go Vice City. But
I can understand why people love like Grand Theft Auto Vice City, but I mean like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas just had more gameplay.
People love it, yeah.
It was more of a game.
That, but Vice City just holds a special place. All of them do, though. You know, it's hard to choose. It's like Grand Theft Auto 3. I remember playing Grand Theft Auto 3 in hotel lobbies and shit, and people just like, "What the hell are you doing?" It's just, man, such a great game.
Yeah, imagine if they ported Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, to Vita. Just Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. With
that would be
trophies.
A lot of work, though, to port all those games.
Well, not really. They all run on the same engine. Hell, the PSP versions of Liberty City and Vice City Stories ran on the exact same engine that powered San Andreas.
Oh, wow. Just
it's a possibility.
Yeah, it's a possibility. It could happen. We never know. But, there was this one PS2 game. I don't know. It's on the European PlayStation Network, but it's not on the US, which really upsets me because I can't get it on my real account for my PS3. But it was a game called Road Trip Adventure.
All right.
It's like penny races, like Japanese penny races, like really small cars, but upsized, and you were given this huge world to explore, and the racing was really fun, and you got heaps of little mini games to do and things to collect and all that. I'd love to see that ported on Vita, that's for sure.
For me, I think you'd have to port the Ico collection.
Oh yeah.
I think that would work great on it. Or maybe even if you've ever played the Yakuza games.
I heard there was sort of Grand Theft Auto in Japan.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that.
Grand Theft Auto Mafia Japan. Yeah, I think those are great games. But
right. I I could agree with that. Yeah, just and imagine if they ported over Shadow of the Colossus or Ico, because they would just.
I can see that happening actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's all owned by Sony, and they've already made
those games and the God of War Origins collection, which are the PSP ones, but on the PlayStation. Both of those games are going to have remote play available, which is a feature that a lot of people want, but probably isn't going to see a lot of love anytime soon. But those games are actually going to be available for remote play sooner or later.
Oh, you think so, or have you heard that?
No, they said that. Just the Eco collection and the God of War Origins collection. They haven't announced anything else. Which that was kind of a while ago, so you would think it would be available by now, but you know how Sony is when they say soon. So
yeah, the delay station. Yeah.
Yep.
I've never heard that one before. That's a good one.
Well, it's not an unfounded name for PlayStation. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any more questions to ask. Do you two have anything you want to talk about in particular? Because, anything at all?
Just, be patient. There's a lot of... The Vita is what it is right now. It's okay. It's not selling great. It's selling pretty poorly, actually, a lot poorly than people expected, but just be patient. There's a lot of reasons that it's going to do well later on. Don't panic when, EA doesn't put the next Madden on it because the first one didn't sell well. Because there's a lot of reasons down the road. A PlayStation Plus, the biggest one, I think, because that's going to start moving systems when they finally get that out there and people start building a collection of games. Just be patient.
Yeah, I remember, they released FIFA Soccer as a launch title for the Vita, and now they're putting another FIFA Soccer on at the end of the year.
Yep, so it must have sold well.
Yeah, it must have done something, surely.
Yep.
For me, I think, same thing, I mean, maybe a lot of people are saying there aren't so many games on the PS Vita right now. There are some good ones, but you can run through them in 6 months for sure. But I guess right now, I think I'd be playing the hell out of some PS1 classics on it until the big holiday season of games comes out, and then I'll just
because September, October, and November are just going to be nuts.
Yeah, I'm glad they delayed. I'm glad they delayed both Sly and All Stars, both of those games, because they were all coming out like October, I think, and that was gonna be too much.
Yeah,
they got pushed back.
Although Ragnarok Odyssey got pushed back to October, if the rumors were correct, so it didn't really help that much in the end.
Yeah.
Actually, Ragnarok Odyssey today was rated by the ESRB.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, so it's coming soon.
That sounds like September then.
All right. Hopefully that happens. And don't forget, in a few days, Zen Pinball 2 will come out, and it is absolutely free.
Oh.
You get to try every table on it for free, which is brilliant.
Cool.
Sure, it costs money to buy the individual tables, but you can try every of the 20-plus tables in the game for free.
And I heard if you own it on PS3, it transfers right through to the Vita too.
Yeah. All the tables that you've bought so far get transferred straight there. It's a free upgrade to physics, to social networking, to everything.
Cool.
So hopefully pinball fans will have their fix, because I do love Pinball Arcade, but the realism factor screws me over so many times I like to throw my Vita at the wall. Seriously, have you guys played the Pinball Arcade? Because your ball goes down the side lanes so many goddamn times it is not even funny.
I haven't grabbed any I haven't played foosball or pinball or anything on the Vita just yet, but maybe I'll get around to it.
Well, pick up the Pinball Arcade. That game is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've never really been into that many pinball games myself, but they do look kind of interesting. Although, how does it work when you go portrait mode? Do you use?
You have to go. Yeah, you have to go portrait mode, and then you tap on the sides of the screen. You have to go portrait mode while you're on the table select screen. You can't do it in the middle of a table.
Yeah.
You have to go back to the table menu and then turn it.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, once you've done that, you just tap on the screen.
It seems like they could use the left thumbstick and the triangle button or something like that instead of using the touch screen. Though. Yeah. It'd
be a bit cramped though when you think about it. Just I wouldn't be a fan of it myself. I don't know if that works. It probably doesn't, but I'm not going to pull out my Vita and test. But yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. And hopefully Zen Pinball 2 gets a lot of attention on the Vita.
It's getting. If anybody listens to the PlayStation Nation podcast, which I've been listening to a lot lately, they just swear by the game. Like, they say the physics are so much better than Pinball Arcade, and just love it. So if you like pinball games, that's probably a good one.
Yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on it myself, because I've been a big fan of pinball ever since I picked up Medieval Madness. That table is extremely good. Yeah, but pick it up. Don't forget that comes out in the next PlayStation Store update, which comes next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday in Europe. Does it launch at the same time in Europe?
Don't know. Yeah, it should be out in the next update. That's what I've heard. Okay. Well, that's it. We've been recording for nearly 2 hours now. I hope to God my computer doesn't crash and destroy me all. But yes, it's been a pleasure having you two on here.
Yeah, it's great. First time. Yeah, it worked out really well.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, this turned out a lot better than I was expecting. I was honestly expecting to fail. But I really got to give myself some more credit. I'm actually somewhat good at this. Do you have anything you guys want to say? Any shout-outs? Anything at all?
I'm good. Just keep subscribing. Try to upvote people in the subreddit. That's about it.
Yeah. Brennan, anything?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to shout out your own website?
Check out ps1classics.com. I've got reviews on lots of different games from spoiler-free.
You should start reviewing more games and reviewing like alternate control schemes to play games better on the Vita.
Yeah, actually, now that the emulator's out on the Vita, I'm going to be playing through some of the games that I have. I just bought Toomba today. I'm going to go through Metal...
Oh, Toomba Tombi.
Yeah.
Oh, that game's brilliant.
Yeah, I just bought that today. So we're going through that, reviewing a few of those games, and maybe if people are interested in getting the game but don't really know what it's like, you can see what it's like from somebody who'd never played the game before. So.
Yeah, that game is brilliant. I hope to God you give that a high review or you're never coming back to it.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see.
Well, this has been the Vita Box with BlueMaxima, IceBreak, and BMart008. I hope you enjoyed your time here. Please like, subscribe. Oh God. When I don't script things, they go awfully. I can't do set phrases like that.
Oh.
Otherwise, I screw them up.
There's always editing, right?
No. I actually like keeping my screw-ups in because apparently people actually like those outtake clips I put on. But, like, subscribe, comment, and share the video around if you liked this and if you want more. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
All right.